everyone, welcome back to my channel with this new video of a new series I want to start called Color With Me or Color in Chat. So today I'll be coloring in this amazing, huge, I don't remember the dimensions, Life Illustration Zodiac Sea and Skies coloring book. And it's the first one she made. I believe she has a second one that just came out not too long ago that's based on the lunar Chinese zodiac, and it's equally beautiful, and I can't wait to try to get my hands on it. The bigger versions, like I'm coloring in, are available on her site, and I'll put a link down below in the description of it. But they also sell smaller versions of them on Amazon, and I think it's amazing. I really love this coloring book, and I'm working on the Taurus sign, I think, and the coloring book's broken up into 3 parts: Earth, Sea, and Sky, and so there's 3 images pertaining to each of the 12 zodiacs. So there's 3 Taurus, 3 Scorpio, 3 everything, and they're all beautiful. Oh my god. So this Taurus is so cute. She has vitiligo, and I'm doing like a rosy red velvet pink kind of for her main skin tone, and then the hyperpigmentation spots I'm gonna probably do in like a butter yellow. Not probably, I'm doing a voiceover later, so yes, I am going to be doing them as a yellow. And I'm gonna do sort of complementary colors, so her hair is probably going to be a bunch of different shades of green or blue-green, and the flowers around the frame I think were poppies, so there's going to be pops of red in here too to kind of bring everything together. And so today I figured for our little chat topic I would explain how I got into art, or at least my humble beginnings. So I didn't fully get into art until I was in middle school. Like when I was in elementary, I knew I wanted to draw a lot more and kind of learn a lot more about it. So I was given the chance to go to a creative performing arts school where I joined the art program, and I started out horribly. I was terrible at hands, and it was one of the first things we were learning to draw. Like we were drawing still lifes and hands and like the beginnings of faces, just structures, color theory for baby beginners, all of that. But hands were so bad for me. Like if I ever find pictures, you will see and probably understand I was bad. And it's okay for me to say now. It was bad. And my teacher, I love her so much. She was doing her best to encourage me, but I was at this point where I was just like frustrated beyond belief, in that way that children get like close to temper tantrum levels of frustration over not being able to draw hands. Like I was planning to quit, go into a different creative performing arts program at the school so I could stay there. But she encouraged me, she pushed me, and I will never not be thankful that she convinced me to stay and keep practicing, and convinced me that I would eventually get better, and I did. Hands still aren't my favorite thing to draw, nor I think a lot of people do not like drawing the hands, even if they can draw beautiful things. There are some people that do like it, and I think they're amazing, but it's one of those things where if you do not practice it, you will not get better. And so this year I made a pledge to myself: start an ugly sketchbook that you can just use for sketching the things that you want to get better at and you don't want to feel pressured for. So I had a cheap $5 Michael sketchbook that I keep my figurative and hand sketches in, or if I'm just doing like practices about form or anything like that, it goes in there. And one of the other things we were learning early on, because I was in 6th grade, so you're either pubescent, prepubescent, and your childhood is battling with your hormone levels, pretty much. So we started learning how to critique a little later on in 6th grade. And that, I think, was like a hard push for us. Because you're learning how to take someone's criticism and use it to build upon what you've done. But you're also learning that you can't take everything said to heart. Not everything is meant to harm you when someone is giving you advice or talking about your work. And so we were taught early on how to speak to others and give advice that was meant to uplift and push to better their work, in a sense. So some kids were better at some things, some kids were better at other things. I don't really remember what I was good at in the 6th grade, to be honest, but I do know there was a kid in my class. His portraits in the 6th grade were insane, and I'm like, we're like 11, 12. How are you doing this? But he was awesome. And we take our experience, what we've learned, that what we're good at, and we give advice based on what we know and what we do to others to make them see maybe what areas they could improve upon, or which direction they should take it and go in, things like that. The further on down the road, once I got to college, I got really bad about second guessing myself, to the point that I think my senior thesis was not anywhere near what I hoped it would be. Like, was so happy when it was over. I made so many mistakes when it came to my senior thesis that it wasn't even funny. It was horrible. And I think it was 100% because I got feedback and I listened and I did what I did for that. But a lot of big things, choices, I don't think I asked about in a way that probably got my point across. Like, mostly like formatting, story wise, like I feel like I should have asked someone outside of the art department as well. Like, I really wish I had asked my literature professor if she could be one of my help judge some of the things, especially when it came to like when I was writing, because my senior thesis was like a comic book, so, and it's gonna stay buried until I feel like I can resurrect it. But when I transitioned from middle school to high school, I was losing a huge part of support that I got from middle school. In that we were going from classes that had at max maybe 10 kids in them to 25 plus. And so we didn't get as much individual time, and I wasn't able to go to the high school equivalent of the performing arts school, so that added on to that. I ended up going to a school that was IB, so they did college prep classes instead. And I did do the art IB class, but I didn't bother with doing the whole transcript pull over for the credit thing. It just didn't matter at that point for me. But in high school, my freshman art class teacher was different from the rest of my high school years. So freshman year, I didn't really have a lot of one-on-ones, but sophomore and junior, senior, I had a teacher that she spent a lot of more time doing one-on-one things. She allowed me to come in during my lunch when she was able to, so I could work on stuff, and it felt nice to have individual time with the instructor again. But it was also still hard because she has like 20 plus other students to teach as well. But she was able to give me help and advice and critiques where I needed them as she was able, which is more than I could hope for. Because high school, I was primarily doing portrait work, or exclusively, more like. I was not doing really much of anything else. I was also exclusively using color pencil because I learned a good bit about using color pencil in middle school, and we had our first set of Prismacolors 6th grade, and every year we got a new one, and I fell in love with the brand, and I'm still learning new things about how to use them every day. In fact, I'm coloring with them right now in this coloring book, but I do use them for my art practice. And smooth paper is definitely your friend. What's that? Hot press. Yeah. The more textured, the more like white specks will be left behind. But either way, I was doing either pencil graphite or color pencil portraits all the time. And while I got better at portraiture, everything else suffered. Like, I was already not the best at perspective, but oh my goodness. Once I got to college and was doing perspective drawing again, let me tell you, there's a joke I want to make about it. But I'm just gonna put up a painting or two, and it's gonna be the example I give for how I felt my perspective drawings were. And the ones who know. The ones who do not know, it's okay. Just if you look at the picture hard enough, you'll understand not everything is going the way it's supposed to go if you look hard enough. But moving on, if you it's an inside joke if you want to give it. But I did find other things in college I liked to do, but high school, I limited myself hard by only drawing portraits. I drew them all the time, but I neglected every other kind of art and any other materials. And college, thankfully, saved me from being stuck in that little box with it. Because my first year of college, freshman year, we had materiality, oh my god, we had a materials class where we were learning about different mediums, dry and wet, and sports, so like paper, canvas, all of that. And we had a color theory class. We had 3D shape form, 2D. It was all amazing. And I hate that later on I wish I could have taken the motion 2D class where they got to make like stop motion movies and stuff. It was so cool. And I wish we had like a what's it called? Observational drawing class. Like, we did observational drawing in our classes, but I would have loved just one where every class session we were just going out onto campus to draw different parts of it and just meet back up and critique what we drew in that first half. That would have been so nice. Like, we did that, but it was not that often that we did that. Just it depended on like what portion of the classwork we were in, if we did. But the best classes that I took for me, like the ones I think I did the best at, were my figure drawing classes, because I'm used to drawing the human face, and I'm do pretty good with the body gestural sketches if I focus more on what I'm doing. Like, sometimes I'll try to rush it and my figures end up so stiff, but if I do some gesture work beforehand, kind of loosen up a bit more, put my work in my shoulder, not my wrist type thing, the figure looks more organic. There's movement. It doesn't feel static, which is always what I want in my figures, because things don't look so boxy, and it also kind of goes into who my favorite artists were and how my art style kind of transformed over time, because I went from wanting to do just straight up realism with my portraits to a semi-realistic state when it came to creating original characters for the comic, or just drawing from memory in general. And one of my biggest inspirations in college, and still now when it comes to like figure drawing, is Yoshitaka Amano. And he's the illustrator. He was like the character designer for early Final Fantasy games up until like I think 8 or 9. And he still does the main title art for it and some promotional stuff. And his figurative work is so pretty. Like, the lines are so soft, but they convey movement so well, and it's just something I want for me. Like, I want to be able to achieve that. Like, every illustrative piece he does, I find something I love about it. Whether it's the color, the line weight, just the composition, any of it. But I didn't fully achieve what I wanted by the time I finished school. And I finished school with a lot of ups and downs, a lot of mental breakdowns. And you kind of realize being an art student in college is not just drawing. You're also writing, you're also reading, you're also thinking about bigger things. And even when it feels like everything you draw in school has to have a meaning, sometimes it's not necessarily true. Not every piece of art you make has to have a meaning, but you definitely have to have a reason for doing it, so to speak. Like, I really wanted one year to create little hybrids because I got interested in movie monsters. And we did a day where we went to the library and we gathered up books for subjects, and so I got a bunch of biology texts because I remember back in middle school, because I just remembered I did have something I was good at in middle school, and I was very good at insect biological drawings. I don't know why. It's just if it had an exoskeleton, I can make it work. So I took that thought process and brought it into my college work. And I would make these little creatures a la like Samael and Hellboy type thing. But they were sort of practice for what I would eventually do in my senior thesis, but I have not been able to find any of the pieces I did. So if I do, I will share. And I hope that they have survived this long, to be honest, because I know some art of mine has been like damaged a bit from travel because I didn't have like proper storage for it if it was over a certain size. And honestly, some of it would make me sad, but I have a very bad, it's not a habit. There's a lot of work I've done that I just do not like, and I feel nothing for because it's nowhere near where I wanted it to be. Because the perfectionism in me sort of kills any sort of pride I might have in it. So there's very few pieces that I outright will just say I love from college or high school, really. And middle school, there's a lot I loved, and there's a lot I hated because of material choices. Like, every year we would go to the zoo, and our final project would be to use one of the photos we took at the zoo and make it into a piece of art. And me always trying to use oil pastel instead of something that I had a stronger grasp on at the time. And it hurt me to constantly do that. And I still don't understand why. But maybe one day, if I find these things, I can redo them and see if I can feel better about them or how far I've come from them. But I think we are closing out with this video, and this is just part 1. There's going to be multiple parts because we're not done with this drawing. And the next part, we're definitely going to be moving on to her hair. But I just wanted to chat, and that's what these videos are going to be all about. So like, subscribe, share if you like. Thank you for your time. Bye.